Okay, first of all, this video is going directly to President Obama because you have seen fit to send a legal brief to the Supreme Court on this homosexual agenda. I feel that you're either naive or downright obstinate about the promotion of the homosexual agenda in this country, and as far as dealing with it, and may just be totally ignorant of what's going on with homosexuality in this country. First of all, let's not equate homosexuality in the realm of civil rights, because civil rights is either for a group of people, a race of people, but as far as abhorrent acts, downright disgusting acts on another human being, this does not equate into that same realm of civil rights as does race or gender or age or anything of that nature. Homosexuality is a predatory group of people. In 1958, I was only 9 years old. A kid about high school age, probably about 14 years old, 16 years old, molested me. Now, the reason I bring this up is because that's how far back this stuff goes. Okay, that's how far back that nobody talked about it. Clear up until about 2 years ago, I never mentioned it to anybody, not even my parents. I told my mother only 2 years ago about what happened clear back in 1958 in California. A Latino kid about 14, 15 years old molested me. Now, the reason I say I bring this up is because in some states, or most states, that would have been called pedophilia because I was under the age of 14. I was 13 years or younger, which would have made me a child. But in all reality, it was a homosexual act. Heterosexual pedophiles will molest children of the opposite sex, like a grandpa with his granddaughter, or an uncle with his niece, or an aunt with her nephew, something of that nature. That would be a heterosexual abuse and pedophilia. But pedophilia, again, only relates to the age. Homosexuality is homosexuality, no matter what age you are. And all, Mr. President, all homosexuality is not some complicated, dynamic of human beings. All homosexuality is lust for man and women for women. That's all it is. So for this country, and especially the Supreme Court, to base some kind of decision on abhorrent acts, especially when there is so much of a predatory nature involving these homosexuals, then it becomes clear that the country is lost. That the country and the rule of law is so conflicted and confounded beyond our wildest dreams. Because not only was I molested, I know dozens of others that were molested. I know people that were in um, the realm of authority over young men, okay? And they abused that not because they were pedophiles, but because they were homosexuals, okay? Are you getting it? Are you listening? Are you paying attention? Hopefully this will be a teachable moment for you, Mr. President. There is nothing other than just lust, man for man, woman for woman. That's all homosexuality is. And it's not only disgusting, but you are arguing against billions of people around this world. Muslim, Catholic, Christian, you name it, even Jews, have all found this to be an abhorrent act, a disgusting act that is not in any way feasible, progressive for society. That it does anything good for society. In fact, if homosexuality was allowed to be run rampant, because all it is in most cases, it's a phase. In my uh, in my interviews with especially a lot of women and young women alike, I have found that the lesbian thing is just a phase. Young girls in California are telling me that the only reason they had lesbian girlfriends is because if you didn't have a lesbian girlfriend, you weren't nobody. It was a class thing, you know. It's like if I had a lesbian girlfriend, then I was somebody, you know. And that's what the honesty of this whole situation is. A lot of these people that are claiming to be lesbians and gays are just very young people that don't even know their own sexuality yet. And then these predators come around and convince them and use their naivety, their so gentle nature um, as a way to get into these people and twist and turn. They're confused. They don't know what they're doing. I've seen it happen. I've seen the results of what happens when these predators come about. And for you, Mr. President, who's never been molested, who has probably never been approached by homosexuals, you do not know the trauma that goes with that. Every time in growing up, from that time I was 9 years old, I've had several times where homosexuals have approached me, either during my job or during my travels, and it's still very traumatizing to me. And I'm sure it's traumatizing to all them young men who had been in acquaintance with a guy named Jerry Sandusky, or all them young men who were acquainted with their priests or pastors or people who had authority over them. And lastly, the people that you want to put in charge of our youth, scout leaders. So again, you have no idea what you're doing. You say you care about these youth that were shot with guns, but evidently you don't care about the youth that are being traumatized every single day by a predatory homosexual. You can't go into a men's restroom along the freeway or in a park without seeing disgusting things written on the walls by predatory homosexuals Even though in this day and age, with all the technology and the internet and thousands upon thousands of places for homosexuals to contact and meet one another, they still go out in the public and try and make these connections without any respect for us that are heterosexual, and I say normal, okay? And before you ask that stupid question, what is normal, society for thousands of years have decided what is normal. And it worked until all you liberal people come out and said that there's no such thing as normal and people are people. Well, you've never been accosted or molested by a homosexual. And when they talk about polls, that people don't care about two men getting married or two women getting married, that's because people have become complacent. They haven't been accosted by these homosexuals. And evidently they don't care that the media is forcing this stuff down their throat. So I say to you, think this over. And remember, you see this? Looks like nothing in my hands. But Mr. President, your hands are all over this. Every person that gets molested and every person that is traumatized and all these homosexuals that are so confused because they were pushed on by these others that say it's okay, and they end up committing suicide. All this, Mr. President, it's on your hands. It is on your hands, in the hands of the Supreme Court, if they further this agenda anymore. Anyway, God bless America, and I hope you learned something.